So it's good, everybody. You already know. Marcus here, uh, coming to you again for my daily proverbs. Right. So I'm just, running a couple errands and just sitting here. So I did my reading today, and I read on the Bible app. So I'm usually either on my phone. I got the app on my phone, or I'm using my iPad. But nonetheless, let's just jump right into it. Um, so day three, Proverbs chapter 3. All right. Now, I did want to start this off by letting you guys know, the reason why I'm doing this right now. Right. So, I've been dealing with very high anxiety and, depression is kicking my butt right now. And I just haven't really been feeling like myself lately. So, instead of just sitting in my own thoughts and, kind of talking to people around me, it's it's been a good idea to get back into and lean into the word. I also still have um, professional help, right? And I see a therapist, right, etc. But I'm not one of those old school, old age Christians, if you will, who is like just pray and everything work out. Nah, it don't work that way, right? Um, God put people in positions to become professionals to help you deal with your mental stuff too. All right. So this is also my way of dealing with that and being able to just kind of talk to you guys, right? So I just wanted to kind of put that in there. But let's just jump right into it again. My bad. So in chapter 3, there's the line that everybody knows and everybody heard: trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Everybody knows that, right? And I've heard that before too. But when I sat with that, I actually realized that I don't always do that. I haven't always done that, right? And I'm sorry, I keep looking because I'm in this parking lot and cops just pull somebody over, and I always got to keep my head on a swivel because you don't know what people might do. But nonetheless, um, yeah, I don't always do that personally. I know I don't. Probably many of you guys don't either. Especially when my anxiety and my depression kicks in. Um, I tend to not lean on my own understanding like a lot. What I tend to try to, think my way through everything. I try to control everything. I'm constantly trying to figure things out. And there's nothing wrong with that. But keep in mind that in this chapter, it also says, in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make your path straight. So basically, the way I'm taking that is like, you're not supposed to have everything figured out before you make a move, right? That is otherwise why is God there, right? Why is the Lord there, right? Because he's, according to the word, he's there to make your path straight. So he's there to guide you, right? So it's not on us, it's not on you, to figure it out. Now, the next thing that it does that did capture my thoughts, if you will, is it does go on to say, do not be wise in your own eyes, okay? And you basically, like, you don't need to know everything, okay? And also with that, it also mentions this. I'm gonna quote this one. So it says, "My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline and do not resent his rebuke, because the Lord disciplines those he loves." Okay. Now, I grew up in church, okay? And a lot of things were taught, because I want to be careful with how I say this, right? Because of, particularly when you look at black folks, I'm not going to say black folks. I'm going to say when with my family, and if I look at my family tree and I go back and I go back and I go back, like, my folks are not that far removed from slavery and all of the things that went on. So when the word things like discipline is being used, it's almost being used as though a form of like harsh punishment, right? And then that's the way I have found that all of the people that I know that was in a black church that I grew up with, the elders, if you will, discipline meant harsh punishment. But again, in my old age and looking at and reading the Bible for my own self, I also look at what words mean. Okay. So when you look at the original meaning of the word discipline and you take it back to like Hebrew, right? Without getting too in depth because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I got it in my notes somewhere. But discipline is actually more closely related to the word instruction or training or correction, not beating, right? Not punished. It's about being guided. That's what discipline means. Now, what it's saying here is that it's about being redirected by God, being instructed by God, being corrected by God, right? Don't be upset with the correction. Don't be upset with the training. That's what it's there for. Okay? That's what that means. So that way we're not constantly going in the wrong direction or the wrong way and therefore leaning on our own understanding. That's the way I took it. And just trying to control everything on your own. And doing so, that will really wear you out. Now, I know that because it's been wearing me out. Like, just real talk. So, I'm doing things a little bit different. So now, before I react or I try to figure things out on my own, I'm choosing to pause and get outside of my own thoughts, whether that's praying, stepping away, or even talking through things with someone that I trust and love, right? So that's what I got. That's my interpretation of Proverbs chapter 3 on day number 3. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Everything is perspectives may be different. Feel free to drop it in the comments. You already know. I'm out. Peace.